Dystopia tonight. Dystopia tonight.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, man?
You do know I produced that show.
You produced Rose. That's right. I'm sorry about that. Yes, you produced the Roseanne show.
And others.
And many others.
I'm not just an old throwaway comic.
I know. I know. If I sat here and did all of your credits, we'd be out of time.
Yes, but I would be interested.
All right, let's play the montage back. We'll do it again. So you were, I'm going to throw this picture out there because I have to say this. I moved out to LA in like early 2015. And Carl I had known because we had worked together a bunch of times when he was back east. When he moved back east, started doing stand-up again. And I become friendly with him. And then I moved out to LA and I messaged him that I was out there. And he was like, have you been to the Comedy Store? And I was like, no, not yet. I haven't been there yet. And he's like, okay, good. Meet me there at midnight. Allan Stephan and I will be there. And we are going to, we're going to show you the Comedy Store. Just like, I couldn't even believe it. And then, so this is the end result of that, is this beautiful photo that we wound up taking by the end of the night. I had the best time with you guys. Seriously. It was, I feel like if you're going to go to the Comedy Store, you could not have two better teachers than Carl and Allan.
Well, look who was in that group. Brian Holtzman is out of his mind.
He is, and he was fucking hilarious.
I just, I can't say enough. Remind me, well, we're on there.
I will.
I'll tell you a story about him.
Yeah, please.
I love the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, maybe longer.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Laugh Factory in Alabama or Mississippi or somewhere where Jews aren't popular. and I said, come as my opening act. So
right.
The owner said, okay, we haven't seen him, but if, you like him.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes backstage and looks Brian in the face. He says, please, it's the South. No Elvis jokes. So it had to be wherever he's from.
Yeah.
And no Jesus jokes. And Brian looks so sincere, because he's nuts. Right. He walks out and he says, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I saw Elvis fucking Jesus, and you're not going And the owner turns to me and he goes, oh, Allan, you're so funny. Did you put him up to that? I went, I wish I did. I wish I did.
That's hilarious.
Wait, another time I was producing like a Saturday Night Live show.
Right.
And I love him. I said, why don't you come and do characters? I don't know what that is. You scream. Right. Just say you're a drill sergeant and didn't scream.
Right.
So I get there and he's sitting with, he must have been a late in life baby because I thought it was his grandmother. It was his mom. And I said, she can't help you here. And I didn't want to watch the audition. So when he's gone, the casting people come in and go, can we show you your friend? And they hit it. And he goes, hi, I'm Brian Holtzman. And this is the drill sergeant. And he starts screaming, then stops and goes, you know what? Fuck Allan. And he looks right in the camera. Fuck you, Allan. Fuck this.
Oh
and he gets up and he walks out. And I went, well, that was his anger character.
Oh my God.
You gotta love some of these guys because they're certifiable.
Yeah, absolutely. And they shoot themselves in the foot beautifully sometimes.
It's too funny.
Yeah, that's fucking great, man. And Brett, who else is in that? This Brett Ernst is in that photo. And you know who else was there that night and wasn't in the photo? But you and Carl were improvising on stage because it was the Late Show.
Don
yes. You guys are improvising with him.
Don has been there 109 years.
Yeah, he's been there forever.
When he first came and tried, he would do blow up balloons. Wasn't quite, but here's what I like about him. I had this house with a pool.
Right.
And one morning, I hear a splash, and I look, and I just see two legs doing like underwater ballet.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he pops up and goes, good morning. He hopped my fence to do underwater ballet. How can you not like it?
Oh my God.
But
That's
we've been
great.
heckling him. You know, in the old days, we used to heckle everybody. I know
Yeah.
Letterman. You do it now, people freak out.
Oh, I know. They can't take it anymore. It's
Well,
their precious.
when we did comedy, it was a band of brothers. Now it's just a lot of soldiers.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Yeah, it does suck. It seems like it is less fun, or at least like
Well,
when you hear about, not that it's less fun, but like whenever I hear about, like I watched the Comedy Store documentary, and those decades look like a blast compared to, you know. Did you like the documentary?
didn't begin to capture what it was, but
No, I know.
that wasn't his point. So
Right.
yeah, it was all right for what it was. But we were 7 days a week, 24/7. We were
Mhm.
at each other's apartments. Argus once went on the Hollywood Squares and won a freezer full of steaks for a year, and that's how we ate. He
Holy
left his
shit.
door open, and Ollie Joe Prater, rest his soul, we used to sneak in there and steal the steaks.
And you guys
Nobody got
lived
paid then. You didn't get paid then.
right. Yeah, that was before
But
the strike, right?
the people she liked, and I was
Mhm.
fortunate enough to be one. She, when she heard I was going to go get a job, she said, "Manage Westwood."
Wow.
So
So wait, what? So wait, let me backtrack here. So when you guys were starting there, did you get? I heard some of the comics used to get paid to like fix up the club and work there at the
no,
same
no,
time.
no, 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 no.
No, okay.
Yakov actually was the maintenance guy for a while.
Oh,
Then he brought in his father, who only speaks Russian. She's a funny woman, Mitzi Shore. Nobody understands her because they speak a different language.
right.
And Yakov would have to come in and tell his father what to do.
Okay.
When I get there, Alan Bursky's father is the manager of the club. If you know who
Okay.
Alan Bursky is.
I do. Yeah.
His father, Herman, rest his soul, was one of the funniest, sarcastic people you'll ever meet. One night, Willie Tyler and Lester on stage, you know, the dummy.
Yeah.
And the dummy says in the mic, "Hey, Herman, can you turn this up?" He runs across the room, plays with the dial, and he goes, "How's that?" And the dummy goes, "A little louder." He goes, "How's that?" He goes, "A little louder." And he goes, "I'm talking to a dummy." And the dummy goes, "So am I."
Oh my God.
But it was a different time.
Yeah.
There were better comics and great comics, but nobody had been on TV yet. You didn't have 4,000 outlets. You didn't have the internet.
Right.
So all you had was the Tonight Show and Merv and Mike.
Yeah. And that's how you guys, well, that was the goal then, right? To get on one of those shows and then
If that was your goal, my
Yeah.
goal was to be funny. And at 30, I had like a breakdown. I didn't think I'd get it at that point. But after that, my goal was always to be a lounge comic. My father, when he would come to Vegas, would put me in the big showroom. So I've seen everybody.
Right.
And I love the lounges. You know, I wanted to go on at 10 and end at 5.
Yeah.
And that doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't exist anymore.
So
And you guys,
that's why I left it when friends of mine got their TV shows and wanted to know if I wanted to be involved.
nice.
And when I saw what the money was, I said, "I'll be there in a minute."
Yeah. Yeah. And then you wound up producing all that stuff, which is great though, too, because at least,
I helped develop Robert Wool's Arliss on HBO and
that's a great show.
the Mystery Show. The first one, not the second one.
Right.
And I wound up exec producer of Roseanne after I stepped to a lot of people that hate my guts.
That's what you got to do, though, man. And you were close with Roseanne when she was starting out, right?
I bought her. Well, here.
So you have a
there, and I would go in early, a couple days early, hang with the people.
Yeah.
You know, it was different then. We were big stars to them.
Right.
And I see Roseanne on an amateur night, and she closed with, "Some people say I'm not feminine. Well, they can suck my dick." And I went over to the owner and I said, "I need her on my show this week." He says, "We don't find women funny, and she's a pain in the ass." And they go, "Hey, I know you don't know how to run a club, but do I say anything?" I said, "I'm going to go home." He said, "All right." He's on the show. Then we did a few gigs. I'd take her. And then Louis Anderson did. And then we talked her into coming to LA. And I had told Mitzi long before she arrived, this is the next heat wave.
Oh shit. That's incredible. And that's how Roseanne got started. Because I wanted to
there's
ask.
some people you just get.
Right.
And I'm very good at getting comics. Like Robert Wall, I can think for what he wants.
Right.
Dice, almost everybody. But with Roseanne, it's almost just a look.
Yeah.
Robert used to walk into Arliss and go, I need something for this football player.
Right.
And he's driving to get to his mother, who has died.
Mm-hmm.
And I just look at him and go, Mama, I'm coming, Mama. And he goes, okay, that's in. And the other writers look at us like, Alan's high.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to them it's from Mad, Mad World. Dick Shawn did it.
Yeah.
And it was very funny on Arliss.
Nice. And then, so wait, you guys lived, because I'm going to go back to the Comedy Store. They didn't touch on this really in the documentary either. That most of you guys lived in the back. There were a housing structure or whatever in the back of the Comedy Store.
When she got the store,
right?
Originally she just had the door,
mm-hmm.
and the original room was half its size,
right?
And it was a Mexican disco next door with the DJ Art LaBove.
Okay,
so you'd be doing your acting here. Horrible.
Right.
And then she bought the building and threw him out. But he still had a lease, so he threw her out.
Wow.
So for about 7 months, the place was called the Funny Farm, and no comic would work there.
Holy shit.
So then she gets it. And then what was your question?
No, where you guys, so you guys lived, because you were saying you lived off of the stakes.
Oh, Cresthill. So when she buys the club, a house above comes with it. Nice house.
Right.
And I always had my own place.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the first wave in there might be Argus, Ollie Joe, Dice, maybe one or two other guys. And then it would rotate, and over the years, it became the party house when Kinison was, the Kinison years.
Yeah, of course. And
but
those
that's
guys,
why they were there. And, if they paid rent, they paid rent. She usually, by then, you were getting paid, so she made sure you get enough rent.
Right.
She was funny that way. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you never lived in.
Hey, I didn't have to work the road.
Yeah.
I work every night for $25. Fridays in the original room for $50, and you got half the door with 5 guys in its heyday. Wow. So I used to get checks for $900.
Holy shit! And do you remember your first paid gig? Like outside the Comedy Store?
Yes.
What was it? It
was the Denver Comedy Works, which was called Basins Up. It was a jazz club across the street and upstairs.
Holy shit.
And I went out and headlined. I didn't do the open mics and shit. I did that locally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when I get there, it's a great hour.
Mm-hmm.
And it's packed. It was brand new.
Right.
I'm in the dressing room, and the owner comes in and goes, well, they're going to love you. I go, well, how many we have for the next show? He goes, 4. I go, what? He goes, and the crowd you just entertained, we don't turn it. That's how new it was.
Wow.
2 shows. So it's kind of where I started to realize I didn't need material.
Right.
And I did another hour and 15 minutes. And he goes, why'd you lie to me? And I go, I was just joking. Where his partner, he thought he saw right through me. He goes, this guy just stands there and talks.
Right.
But they're laughing.
Yeah.
I was staying with a comic there that was in Vietnam, local guy, and his friend Pussycat came over. Mm-hmm. And Pussycat's a biker. And no lie, he comes into the house, and on the dining room table, 2 guns, 4 knives, a little thing in his boot. Anyway, they get drunk and wind up throwing a dryer in the basement to see who can throw it further. And they want me to do it, and I have to explain, I'm fine right now, and I'm not desperate. Anyway, Pussycat loves me. Second show, he walks in, and he's got the Mexican sombrero on.
Mm-hmm.
And, and during my show, I go, I'd like you to meet my friend Pussycat.
Mm-hmm.
And I just do what I just told you, and the place is just breaking up, and all of a sudden he goes, why are they laughing? They go, because the truth hurts, you big dummy. But, the audience would go for the ride. So
Right. And at what point, so that was your first paid gig. And then when did you hook up with because you, Sam, Carl, you guys started the Outlaws of Comedy, right? So what year?
No. The Outlaws of Comedy was a group of guys in Texas that had Sam and Carl.
Okay.
And Bill Hicks, I believe.
And Bill Hicks, yeah. You were
two other guys that I can't remember.
Uh-huh.
Then he first comes to the Comedy Store in 1980. He was married.
Okay.
With a little entourage still. And he was there for about a year or two and disappeared.
Right.
Then he comes back single and he starts to develop the screaming thing. But he had met me 2 years prior.
Okay.
So he said the two he needed to know was Belzer and me. Because he knew we were very honest about what we say.
Right.
Whether you like it or not. Like I was the first guy banned from the Comedy Store because I said the word fuck.
Right.
And I believe it was to her. I think she said something, I heard it, went, shut the fuck up. Anyway, not good with the owner. Anyway.
Right.
So at some point, Sam and I aren't talking. And he starts to get hot. And it's him and Carl.
Mm-hmm.
We bump into each other. We party at his house. It's all fun. He says, hey, why don't you come with me and Carl? He said, but you can't talk to the audience, just material.
Right.
I said, well, I'll host the show because you guys don't know what day it is.
Right.
And I eventually was able to add Mitchell Walters. But before that, we had Belzer for a show.
Oh, wow.
A little while, Steve Kravitz, which is a great story.
Okay.
All right, real quick.
Yeah, please.
He takes me in the back, Sam, and there's Stevie because he wants to be an outlaw. And, I don't mean this in a negative way, but he was doing heroin.
Okay.
So eventually I just said, here's my gun, shoot yourself.
Right.
And Sam goes, geez, Allan's mean. Yeah, you can go. I go, what did you bring me back there for? He goes, geez, dude. I go, he's on heroin. Anyway, first time headlining Caesar's Palace Tahoe. They give us their yacht. There's nothing they won't do for us.
Right.
So the first night we say, we'd like to use the pool after hours. No problem. What we don't know is they stocked the bar and we could have used it. Instead, we break into a bar up there. All right. But Kravitz jumps in the pool and Kravitz has a Jewish nose.
Mm-hmm.
And he was high and he went to come up and then broke his nose and the pool's all bloody now.
Oh, shit. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
And then Paulie Shore for a while. And longer than anybody was Lenny Clark.
Okay.
And then it just became the Outlaws that started to make the money became Carl, Mitchell, and myself.
Okay. So what year was that around?
I left it in 89, so I had to start 84, 85.
84, 85. Wow. Okay.
And the record Wild thing was out,
Right.
So we were like we closed with the band at one point. When nobody was famous, we used to rent this studio and jam. We said, whoever goes first, we'll take the band.
Right.
And Sam at one point said, let's take the band. So we got a real guitar player, Leslie West from Mountain, rest his soul, he just passed, a bass player, and I was on drums and Carl and Sam on guitar.
Wow.
And we had a couple famous guys, but Leslie was with us the longest. And that song hit really big. And we were traveling with 2 trucks with the sound and the equipment, with a bus. And it was like we were rock stars because the girls would just follow us state to state. It was really insane. Really insane.
Is that when, then I didn't even realize that. So you had been at the Comedy Store already in LA and doing all that shit for years before you went out on the road.
The end of 75.
Wow. That's fucking crazy, man.
So it's only there in her hands, or there altogether 3 years at that point.
So who was your class that you came up with? Who were the guys that you remember that you were there with?
Well, my group was a couple guys I can't remember. Mitchell Walters, who just passed away.
Yeah.
Got me into comedy.
Right.
Argus Hamilton, Ollie Joe Prater, Mike Binder, the guy who directed the video. We were 7 days a week.
Wow.
I had keys to the club. And Westwood was huge.
Right.
The line went about, no lie, 4 blocks and then 2 blocks around.
Wow.
And we were still seating people at 2 a.m. because some would go home, and we'd stop serving the beer and wine. That's all we could serve there. And we go to 4 o'clock in the morning with Mooney. You know, we let him just roll.
Right.
If you got pulled over and you said Comedy Store, the cop go, "Hey, I love comics. You know Leno?" I go, "Here, come see him."
Right. And so he was, oh, that's fucking awesome. And you were telling me when I was there, though,
But
that like,
the comics there were, besides the big stars that would drop in, the guys that were, see, the fun was we were all equal. Some were just better.
Right.
But there was no big egos yet.
Yeah.
Dreesen, Marshall Warfield, Robin eventually, David Letterman, Jay Leno, the great Elaine Boozler.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
There was a girl named Emily. It was very funny. I thought there was a few women, but nobody beat Elaine.
Wow.
And there's a lot of guys I'm leaving out. Lenny Schultz. And if you don't know who he is, look him up.
I do know who Lenny Schultz is. Yeah, he's fucking hilarious.
And it was just, it was a clubhouse. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes years later, they'd say I was one of Mitzi's boys. And I go, well, I get benefits. Sorry.
Yeah.
But, you know, I knocked down walls there.
Wow.
When she took over, the offices upstairs hadn't been open in 20 years. And at one point, when I was running Westwood, I made changes. You know, there was no juice bars back then. I put juice in Westwood, and Mitzi came in and said, "Who gave you permission?" And I go, "I know the owner." And a week later, I'm at the Sunset store, and she's got a juice bar. And I go, "How do you know I didn't have some kind of franchise going?" One time, she and I got in a big fight in the hallway.
Yeah.
And the great Harris Pete was the doorman.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody says to him, "What are they arguing about?" He goes, "They're not sure who owns the club."
That's fucking wild. So, so you were saying Argus Hamilton. Argus Hamilton, obviously, I know he's a legend there, you know, and he's always. I met him once, and he was a super, super nice guy.
He's extremely nice. His family were preachers.
Wow. Okay. All right. Because I was going to say he and Sam had that in common.
Be charming in 2 seconds.
Yeah. He and Sam had the preacher thing in common.
Sam, he could charm a snake if he wanted to.
Jesus Christ.
You know, they grow up with that. You know, you might have a headache and be bleeding from the knife in your back, but somebody shakes your hand, "How are you today?" Your family? Well, you go with Jesus.
Right. Jesus Christ.
Your lighting sucks or my lighting sucks.
Yeah, I know.
That's better. Look at me producing your show. Go ahead.
I know. It's a work in progress. Trust me. This is all fake background, by the way. That's not a real.
Now I look older.
No, you look good.
Fake background too. A mirror in a bathroom door. That's all fake.
You're out in a yurt in the desert, right?
In a very remote location.
Right. Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Right.
Nobody knows about this place.
No, it's all brand new. Fuck, man, that's crazy. So you were telling me you had a story about Robin that you want to say renting. I think it was.
It was a house for Carl and Sam, and it was like there's only a handful of them. They're rare. It was called a birdhouse. It was on stilts and had a weird shape to it. And it was about 3 levels, but it wasn't one of the flat ones. It was like a birdhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And he's all excited, and I walk in, and I look around, and I go, "I've seen this before. They shoot porn here." And Sam said, "Are you nuts?" I go, "I'm so bored with porn. I'm into decor. I know this house." Which I'll tell you another story. Sandy Gallen, the big shit manager,
right,
made most of his money in real estate, and he had a mansion in a great neighborhood. And Roseanne was looking for one. Mm-hmm. So I went with her, and I don't like when it's like glass railing and too modern, and I know she doesn't. And, he's pushing the house like a bad realtor. And I look at her and I go, I've seen this house.
Mm-hmm.
They shoot porn here. And she didn't, she didn't want the house. And he always said, I could have sold her that house. And stopped renting it out for porn shoots.
Right.
Who would know that? That's not
exactly.
a good question on Jeopardy, but I would feel in that category.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty great. I'm going to have you come next time I'm out in LA if I'm ever looking for anything. That's unbelievable. So when you were, did you have, like, you said, there was another thing you told me when I was there too, that after hours at the store, like what was it? Like Willie Nelson and like those guys would just come and hang out.
Well, first off, here's what comics don't do today. We were so close. In Westwood, we would stay till 4 a.m. and do our acts for each other and let our friends critique us. And it was not pretty.
No, I can't imagine.
We had to learn. We couldn't watch TV and guess. You know what I mean?
Right.
What was your question?
I was talking about just the scene at the Comedy Store that you guys would hang out there even after hours, and like musicians like Willie Nelson, like those guys would come.
It's in the documentary. And I believe falsely, because Jennifer Pryor, Richard's last wife, called me up and said it was her. And it is her.
Oh, shit.
But in the documentary, I think he said it was Princess Diana.
Yeah,
believe me. If she came to town, you think, let's go to the Comedy Store. Get the fuck out.
I swear to God, I thought that was horseshit, but I was like, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
He thought it was. It looked like her, but it's Jennifer Pryor. And there was a couple times. The time with me is Robin Williams, Burt Reynolds, Sally Field, Willie Nelson's big hit is On the Road Again.
Right.
Mitzi, I think, was there. Argus, Binder might have been. And I'm sitting next to Sally Field, and then there's Burt Reynolds. And all of a sudden, Robin goes on stage and does it like he's a preacher. And
right.
Then, Pryor goes up to be healed. Then they get Burt up there. Then somebody else went, and I turned to Sally and I go, I don't know what you see in this guy.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, but it winds up when that's all done. Willie says to me, could you let me out that door? My tour bus is there, and I'll be right back. So I hold the door. He comes back, and he's got the guitar he's had forever, the beat up one. And he said, I don't do comedy, but I have to give back. And he sang for about 40 minutes.
Holy shit.
Sat in the chair at that guitar and serenaded the room.
Wow. And you guys all just got to fucking hang out there and do it. Nobody, I don't,
here's a good one. Here's a good one that just popped in. Sandra Bernhardt's on stage.
Right.
And I don't know what the bit was, but basically Farrah Fawcett is fucking a donkey in Mexico. Lee Majors is in the audience and stands up and goes, that's not funny.
Oh, shit.
And then Paul Williams, the composer actor, is with him, and he stands up and says, not very funny. And she says, stand up if you want to talk to me. And they storm out, and he storms out. If I could show you, but it was like John Wayne.
Right.
You had those magical nights.
Yeah.
The ugliest thing I've ever seen, before anybody knew who he was, Michael Richards had props, and it made no sense.
Right.
And a lot of comics back then would take a purse from the front row and make jokes of what they pulled out.
Yeah.
But they were comics.
Yeah.
So he's pulling it out, and the woman is trying to get her purse back. Please, no, no, no. And a jar pops out, pills all over the stage, and he's stepping on them. And she goes into an epileptic fit.
Holy shit.
And he keeps going. So I go over to Herman and I go, turn the lights out on this fucker.
I didn't even know that guy tried to do stand-up until he did that thing at the Laugh Factory.
Larry David produced Fridays, which ran for a couple of years, which was like Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Larry David knew Seinfeld. That's where they met. I think Seinfeld was, not Seinfeld. Michael Richards was on that show.
He was, yeah.
And that's where Larry David, so when they were looking, Larry David went, I know.
Yeah, he was on. Michael Richards was on when Kaufman threw the cue cards at him, right? Is that right?
Yeah? In the Comedy Store main room, Mitzi says, "Would you open and bring out Andy Kaufman?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Sure." And Andy's a very sweet man.
Yeah.
He walks by me and I go, "How are you, Andy?" He goes, "Fine. How are you, Alan?" "I'll be in the dressing room. Just let me know."
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, I knock on that dressing room door. What's his alter ego?
Oh, it's oh my God, I'm blanking on it. I'll think of it in a second. It's
Me too.
yeah, it's fucking okay. Andy Kaufman is oh my God, they're gonna kill me that I can't remember this guy's fucking name. I got it. Hang on.
You get on the computer. See, this
yeah.
is where your producer should be paying attention to his show
I know.
and shout it to you.
Oh God, is alter ego? No, it's not Lotka. Tony Clifton, motherfucker.
Okay. So the door swings open and it's Tony Clifton. He goes,
Mhm.
"The fuck do you want?" And even I can't tell. It's not,
Wow.
I know it's Andy, but
Yeah.
it looks great. In like a prom tuxedo, blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I go over and I go, "I'm going to bring you out." And he goes, "Tell them all to stop smoking. I'm a singer." So I go, "Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Clifton would like you to please extinguish your cigarette so it won't affect his voice. Thank you."
Mm-hmm.
"Tell him again. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Clifton." Waits a minute or two. "I don't think they heard you." The fifth time I do it, he lights a cigarette and walks on stage and they boo him.
Wow.
That was the whole idea.
Yeah.
He's off by the third song, but I think he closes with "You Light Up My Life." And if I made one person here tonight happy to go, "Get the fuck off." Well, half the audience is gone, the press is gone. And
Right.
those that stayed went, "Who was that guy?" And then Andy comes out, gentle as can be. He was brilliant and on a whole different plane altogether.
Yeah. There's probably do you see it bums me out, man, because it feels like those days, I mean, I'm glad they were existed, but those days kind of come and gone because I don't think comics have control the way they did back then. You guys like ran the fucking rooms back then.
Well, the generation before us did the same thing with nightclubs in Vegas.
Right.
You know, Buddy Hackett, Shecky Green, these guys are making millions in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, $50,000 contracts to work, 20 weeks a year. And plus, so then they can go anywhere else and they're getting 50, 60, 70 G's a week.
Right.
You know the famous story about the fountain in Shecky Green, right?
No.
Caesar's Palace has a big fountain in front of it.
Right.
And Shecky can party.
Mm-hmm.
And he drives into the fountain in a caddy convertible. And as the cops are handcuffing him, he yells, "No hot wax!" So I think it was that generation ruled too.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, we lost control somehow, man. I think it was when I fucking started because
Well, actually, it became homogenized.
Yeah.
What you like, MTV ruined music.
Right.
And, you notice all the big stars are selling their catalogs.
Yeah, man, I know. It's fucking crazy. You know, that's the other thing too, is when I started, all I did was hear stories like that from you guys, getting paid in coke, getting paid in a shit ton of money, being able to make a living just being a fucking middle. Like you never had to have more than 20.
And the women loved the guy on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, those days are gone. That fucking sucks, man. So you also told me to. Oh, somebody actually, one of the other guys. So we have people watching, by the way, and they can comment live. And one of the other people.
I don't want to talk to your mother.
No, I have her on the phone though. If you wanted, I just thought a quick hello would be nice. They said they had a porn star on, Ginger Lynn, who knew Sam. Ginger Lynn was talking about hanging there with Sam back in the 80s.
Okay, here's all I remember with her.
Okay.
We're headlining the Dunes, and we had broken Sinatra's record. We did 38 shows or something crazy in a matter of a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came here as a kid, they did 2 a.m. shows, the headliners. So the help that had to work and the stars on the strip could come see the show.
Right.
I said this to Sam. So we doing a 2 a.m. show. So it's 3 shows a night. You can't get in. You cannot get in. Charlie Pride was there. A lot of country stars, Paul Anka, all the stars would come in and they'd all say the same thing. How are you getting away with this?
Right.
And I'll tell you Paul Anka's story in a minute.
Sure.
But we were on the cover of every magazine here for months, setting records. We were the first wave to be allowed to curse in Vegas without being thrown out. And we started when they were losing the orchestras here. Every big show had an orchestra. And they called when we were at the MGM Grand, because by then the Dunes couldn't hold us. And they said, you can't, we're striking. You can't play music. And I go, we don't play music. We're comics. Come to the show. I said, but I won't play a tape in the beginning.
Right.
So everybody gathers around the mic. And we do, da-da-da, da-da-da. And I went, honor of the Musicians Union of Las Vegas. There will be no music. And the audience boos. And I go, in the beginning, the tape. And then I go, but there'll still be no music. And they boo again. And I go, well, if you think it's music, fine.
Oh my God. So that was the Ginger. I don't know Ginger Lynn at all.
Oh, here's Ginger Lynn. So we have all the suites connect on the top floor.
Right.
And I was with somebody, but a lot of stars would show up. I know Billy was there, and a couple others. So the girls are like lining up. Meantime, Ginger Lynn was going through the Outlaws, but I was with someone. And maybe some of the women that were traveling with us.
Right.
So I guess she knew Sam a couple weeks.
All right. Oh, I don't know.
I tell you how many people I bump in. Yeah, I knew Sam. All right.
Oh, yeah. Well, so what's the Paul Anka story? Because you said you were going to get into that.
All right, all the stars are coming in.
Right.
And years ago, I was talking to Paul Anka. I might have opened for him. I forget why I'm talking to him. And the guy next to him says, no, you speak to me, not Mr. Anka. Really? I don't want to lose the gig, but, I got a file in my head.
Yeah.
Dan knows the story. So I walk out and I introduce some stars and I save the last one. And I go, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Entertainment himself, the one, the only Paul Anka. And he stands up and bows. The place goes nuts. And we would close like doing that Elvis thing.
Yeah.
That's how we'd line up, all of us, and do that. So he does that. So I know he's seen the show before. And I go, you know what, Paul? That's fucking ours. Sit down, you little prick. And I come off and Sam goes, feel better? Yeah.
Did they say anything to you after you said that?
I'm on stage is the biggest thing in Vegas at the time. You know what I mean? We're comics. The crap that was said and done, you can't do today. You just can't do it.
No.
We wanted to change the show every time. So first it was just us and Sam.
Right.
Then it was us, Sam, and a piano. And Sam would sit down on the piano. And at one point, his brother had passed away. And Carl would get on the mic backstage and do Liberace.
Right.
And there was a candelabra on the piano. And he goes, Sam. He goes, who's that? It's Liberace. He goes, Liberace, I'm up here with your brother, Sam. And Sam would stop and go, you queer, you better not be fucking him, and just go ape shit. And the place would go nuts. And then he'd start another song.
Jesus Christ.
We were out of control.
Right. And nobody could stop you.
It was the biggest show in town.
Yeah.
In fact, a couple people wrote it up and said, there's a new Rat Pack in town.
Wow.
So in the beginning, it was very magical.
And you guys didn't even tape shit back then, right? Like none of this is recorded. There's no like.
Well, I think somewhere we did the Felt Forum at Madison Square Garden. I thought that was maybe his brother released that. I don't know, but we're not on it. That's it. He took us off of it.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say no. There's a lot of album stuff, but there's no video. Like I don't see a lot of video shit.
There's nothing.
Wow, that's fucking wild, man. It's crazy because everything now is recorded.
Well, back then, a special meant something. They gave you $500,000, $300,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you had to show up with a special, not in jeans with the ripped up shirt and go, yeah, I have a dog. Yeah, all
right. I know, man. It's fucking. It's sad now. It's upsetting.
And everybody has an album. No such thing when I started.
Yeah.
I remember the club. I think it's the Comedy Castle in Detroit. I wanted to play there.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Binder was from there. Jay Leno recommended me at that point. And Dave Coulier. So I get on the phone with him finally, and he goes, well, blah, 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 blah. How do I know if you're funny? Can you send me a picture? And I went, did you want one smiling? And he went, what? I go, so you know I'm funny, you goofy fuck. He never played there.
No, I can't. It's a fun club. Tim Allen started there, didn't he?
I guess. I
Comedy
think he started
Cat?
in prison. No,
Yeah.
seriously. I think that was a way to for him to fit in.
He started doing stand-up in prison?
I believe that. I thought I heard him say that.
Oh wow, I did. Well, I mean, I guess yeah. I guess for the Disney shit, they had to clean it up and say he started at the Comedy Castle.
Well, he did when he got out of
When he got out.
Was.
Oh,
But
okay,
I
that
think
makes sense.
he might have developed the tool guy there.
That makes sense.
I guess.
Yeah. And then so you guys, I have to ask because this is also like one of the fucking. Somebody had brought up Seinfeld when we were hanging out or whatever, and I've never seen anybody turn on a dime as fast as you have when you were telling your Seinfeld Larry Miller how you met the two of them.
Well, for some reason, now Larry Miller, I have no problems with. Never did.
Mm-hmm.
Very naive when he came. I mean, I don't think he was out of the house.
Wow.
He had a crush on Lois Bromfield, and I had to explain she's a lesbian. Lois said, "You have to talk to him. He doesn't get it." Anyway, there was a nightclub. There was a third nightclub at one point in Newport Beach. Mike Cayley ran it, and I can't remember the name. But I was the house MC. And I'm sitting in the back reading a newspaper, and I'm right next to the dressing room door where Gallagher is. He's the headliner.
Okay.
And two guys come back in suits. So right away, I'm thinking, do I still owe the IRS? And they walk up to me, and they go, we'd like to meet Gallagher. And they go, you don't want to do that. Well, why not? And I go, you don't want to meet him.
Right.
Well, we do want to meet him. What's your problem? I go, all right. I knock on the door. He goes, what? I go, there you go. And they get ready to walk in, and he just cracks the door, looks at him, slams it. And I go, well, you met Gallagher.
He's a dick.
I don't think he quite realized I was trying to hip him to what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But, I guess he didn't speak me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When they thought you don't want to meet him, that you.
And then a few years later, I believe we might have been with the same waitress. She might have said, Jerry said he's going to be a big star. And I go, if you're selling pajamas with pockets and a pen, possibly. But I know how to call him.
Right.
I once called, who's the country comic? He was one of those guys. Foxworthy.
Oh, Jeff Foxworthy, yeah.
He opened for me in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
He said, any advice? I said, yeah, lose the hillbilly shit.
There's a great fucking story about Rodney meeting Eddie Murphy. And basically, I'm sure you know this story, but it's hilarious. Where he tells him,
There's so many Rodney stories. I'm not sure.
Well, he goes, the language, kid. You got to cut it out. You're never gonna get anywhere like that. And then, like 4 years later, Eddie had blown up. He's on SNL. He's, doing 48 days later, whatever, 48 hours later. And then he sees Rodney Eddie's at a urinal, and Rodney comes up and comes to the next urinal, looks at him and goes, "Hey, kid, who knew?"
No, that's true. Their generation, like one time I met Don Rickles when I was young and Marty Allen, and I had a mustache with Marty Allen. He goes, you can't do comedy with that. And they had their set of rules. For them, it was a suit and tie. You had to be clean. You didn't talk to the audience, even though Buddy did and Lenny Bruce. But I was at Buddy Hackett's house. Mm-hmm. And once he warmed up, he said, come on in the den. The den, by the way, is the size of two apartments. Couch seats 50. It's one of those.
Right.
And I sit down. He goes, anything you want to ask me? I go, well, people say I'm dirty. And, he can handle language, Buddy. He goes, does he get a laugh? I went, yeah. He goes, fuck them. He says, so what do you do? I go, I talk to the audience. He goes, no, can't do that. What if they don't want to talk back? And I said, well, I have a ton of material to fall back on. And in the beginning, I used to do like 20, 30 minutes of material then 20, 30 minutes with the audience. Then
Right.
it just became all the audience. But they had their rules.
Right.
Just like when Comedy Central started and this comedy boom started, we had our rules. Like I remember John Mulrooney opened for me in a 400-seat lounge in Tahoe.
Wow.
And his first show, he's in jeans smoking a cigarette with beer. So I
Right.
nicely took him up to the room and said, you got to do me a favor. At least put on a sports coat, no smoking, and no booze.
Mm-hmm.
They're here, they're paying real money. This is a casino. This ain't yo-yos. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And he was very respectful, and I think he took that to heart.
Right.
He's a good guy, good guy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like every generation of comics has their thing that they use to quantify how they made money. So of course they're going to try to pass that on to the next one, but it doesn't always apply.
Well, it's also the rules they had. In their time, you could not curse.
Right.
In their time, if the mob said you were only getting $1,000, you were only getting $1,000.
Right. But how do you guys wrestle with that kind of thing, though? Because
in Vegas, you could not curse whatsoever. Pryor was thrown out of there at one point, I believe. It'll come to me. But you had to be Carlin, yes.
Yeah.
You had to be follow their rules, or you didn't work.
Right. Well, that was
they could blackball you, and because there weren't a million places.
Right.
You know, some people, Kippadata.
Oh, of course.
Kippadata calls me. I'm in Illinois in the middle of nowhere and it's over. I go, what's over? He goes, comedy.
Wow.
I go, what are you talking about? He goes, the guy's pumping my gas. He goes, are you Kippadata? And I think he wants an autograph. And he says to me, I'm at the bowling alley tonight. You ought to come see me. It's over, Allan.
Oh, fuck. That's too good. All right. I got to ask it now.
Pryor story?
Yeah, please. All the Pryor stories.
For whatever reason, Pryor's at my tiny apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And a young black couple live upstairs. And I'm quite noisy most of the time because it's tiny and it's 10 guys in there that are crazy. But it's just me and Richard.
Okay. And
you can hear what's going on through the old vent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the old woman before that said I played bongos. And I said to the landlord, that's a word from the 60s. She's out of her mind. And I continued to play my bongos.
Right.
So anyway, we hear him say, and he's mean, you go down there and tell that white boy to shut it. So as she's coming down the steps, Richard says, go in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
He opens the door and he goes, yes. And there's no words coming out of her mouth. He goes, leave my buddy alone.
Oh,
she goes upstairs. We go by the vet and you hear him go, Richard Pryor's down in that shit apartment with that idiot. He comes storming down and Richard comes in the room. He goes, go answer the door.
Wow. And
I open the door and he's like trying to look over my shoulder. He goes, is there something wrong with you? No. I go, then leave me alone.
Oh my God. Did you get to hang out with Richard a lot?
Mooney brought him to the club one night. And when I was done, I went to the top of the stairs to the belly room and he said, someone wants to meet you. And it was Richard. Wow. And Mitchell, you know what was great about him working out? You could approach him and go, I have an idea for you. Did you try this?
Right.
And, we did some of the burn jokes in that concert one, Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
And, he was fun.
That's cool.
And class. He was class. Even if he didn't get a drink from a waitress, if 9 were working, he'd give them each 100 before he left.
Wow.
And he would come in with no material. They'd yell, do this. And he goes, I did it.
Right.
He'd talk for 2 minutes. Next night, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. By the end of the month, he had a solid 20. The end of next month, and then boom, concert film.
Wow.
Oh, I saw him do some scary shit too.
There's the one. Were you there when they said that there was they were talking about him doing a thing about God's kid coming back? Or no, God coming back?
I also saw this one.
Which one?
He's on for a couple of minutes. He goes, so I'm sucking this guy's dick. And it goes dead silence. He goes, too real.
And he never did anything again after that? Wow.
They didn't want Pryor going there.
Right. That's fucking crazy. You guys used to, so we were talking about giving him material and stuff like that, or like helping him out with bits. That was another thing I noticed, that your generation and the kind of the generation after you a little bit too would help each other out with jokes and with bits. Like I was talking to John Mendoza, and he was saying that, that's like, you may not have all liked each other, but you respected the act,
Well,
and you would give each other.
later on.
Mendoza's later on. Okay.
And he's an improv guy.
Okay.
Whole different vibe, whole different scene.
Right.
But he's right. Like George Wallace called me up when the riots were going on.
Yeah.
And I was doing a joke that clearly he would kill with. And he said, "You got anything?" He was doing the Tonight Show the next night. And I go, here, you're going to have to wait for the applause to stop. And he did.
Wow.
And, I couldn't do it. It's with me, it was, I guess now it'd really be racist. But it was basically, I take a beating for $50 million. And I talk like I was ill. And I go, I think I take my foot for. I go, believe me, they can hear me. I got 50 million.
That's fucking
Something
great.
like that.
The cool thing too is that I liked there was more that I wanted from that documentary, by the way, the Comedy Store one, but I liked it for what it was.
It wasn't Ken Burns. It was a nice love letter.
Yeah, it was a love letter.
There's another one that Argus and I, there's a 2-hour True Hollywood Story. I think Argus and I did maybe
really
20 years ago.
Shit.
One of the comics, a guy named Jamie Klein, had become an executive over there, and I called him up. True Hollywood Story meant they're coming for you. And he said, "Down, you do whatever you want. I'm going to give you another hour, and you can make it a love song." And that's what we did.
Nice. Well, the cool thing is like seeing the Comedy Store through the decades like that too. And I've got, like I've said, I've got a few books on all that stuff. But what was cool was seeing, like, especially because we're in COVID, was that it was like, comedy's booming, comedy's dead, comedy's booming, comedy's dead. Like, because people were worried that COVID would ruin it again.
Comedy's going into another change.
A good one?
It became TV a lot, nightclubs a lot. To me, nightclubs are going to be vaudeville. They're going to crash and burn, and they did.
Right.
And so, some guys stayed on the road forever. They made nice money, but, now they're banging their heads.
Yeah.
And it was a new wave. Then came the internet, another wave. Yeah. But now, with podcasts, with getting it, everybody has a show. They put their specials up on here that, they shoot in the club.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And I think it's struggling because, to me right now, there is no Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Buddy Hackett. There is not.
But what about the club scene? Do you think it's going to, me personally, I think after COVID, people are going to be aching to go back out. A lot of people think it's going to change
Comedy
and die.
Store, they built 7 or 9 new hotels between Vine and Doheny. They will be packed. They knocked down the House of Blues and put another hotel there. They will be packed.
Wow. Well, then good. That's what I'm hoping, man, because that's what the cool thing about that documentary was. It was like every time they thought it was dead, it came back. What?
That property's worth a lot. You got to hope the kids don't sell it.
Right. Oh, dude, I know. Well, they were having trouble for a while, right? They were trying to fucking figure out.
They struggled for a few years, and then the stars started to come back. The stars of the day.
Yeah. Right. That's when I think when I got there in 2015, it was already its own machine, because when I was there, Mark Maron was there, Chappelle was there that night, Bill Burr was on stage, you and Carl were hanging out, doing sets. Brody Stevens was there.
When I was there, in the alley in the back is where we used to hide the smoke pot. It's a lounge.
I know.
Now they have something on top of the roof. You know what we called that?
What?
Quiet. Her office is underneath.
Holy shit. That's crazy. Did you guys, we were talking a little bit about, so you went and did Roseanne, right? That's when were you out doing?
First came Arliss.
Arliss came first and then Roseanne came.
And then about maybe after the first season, I went over to Roseanne on the lowest level you can go over, which I was more than happy because that's still crazy money.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it and worked my way up and stayed there. And then at some point, I think maybe the third season, I went to Arliss and Roseanne at the same time.
Wow.
So I worked 7 days a week on the weekends. And you were Robert Wall.
So you were done doing stand-up by then?
Well, the money was so insane. Why would I travel?
Right, but you didn't miss
I made a mistake because now I'd be able to travel.
Right, but I mean, like, you didn't miss the comedy, you didn't miss the hang or anything?
In the beginning I did, but it's such a creative high to write something and then watch it work in front of a live audience and then millions.
Right. I
mean, you know, and we had to do 26 shows, not this 6 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
We did 26 every year, and that's
hard as shit.
And I was doing 8 to 12 over at Arlis. It was insane.
Right.
But the money was very nice.
Did you like? I mean, obviously Roseanne got fucked over with that the reboot thing, but did you like the beginning of it? Because you know all these shows, like, they're doing their reboots, right? All the comedy
beginning ones. Of the reboot.
Yeah, the beginning of the reboot.
Well, here's something no one knows, and I don't like the guy who runs it. So obviously, he doesn't like me.
Right.
But I got that script before they shot it, and I made some changes.
Nice.
There was too much going on. I still think there's too much going on. They introduced 100 new characters.
Yeah.
But it's off the power of her fans.
Yes.
It wasn't the show. They wanted Roseanne back. And unfortunately, these guys actually said to her, they want quick jokes and out. Roseanne had depth.
Yeah.
If we took a topic, we did it the serious side of it and then lightened it.
Yeah.
They're in and out, and they told her that's how it got to be. You know, it's a different kind of writer. I know they have some old Roseanne writers there, but for me, nah.
No, I know what you mean. Like,
by the way, it's like a 1.1 or something, and they go, our hit show. I think they keep it on the spider.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet they won't try Married with Children anytime soon.
We're working on a couple projects.
That's cool.
Great talent cannot be taken down.
No, exactly. And that's the thing, though. Like, that was one of the only reboots of a comedy show from a comic that seemed to work when she was there. Now it fucking sucks. But also, like, how could you write, like, for a show? Not you. I mean, like, now. Like, there's no good sitcoms because nobody has any experience. You know what I mean? There's no situation comedies because
that's true. They'll get young writers, or what a lot of showrunners do.
Yeah,
they can't make decisions or find themselves funny. They travel with 3 to 5 guys from show to show. There's 5 guys that follow Kevin Abbott around for the last 20 some years. They're all very wealthy from it.
Right.
And also a lot of people, not those particular guys, but a lot of people, when I was there, I was surprised because there were so many writers that some didn't know how to write. Some didn't care to participate. You know, nobody checks your homework. And I felt better when Norm Macdonald did this on a show. But when you're working with the college guys, they resent the fact you're naturally funny.
Yeah, of course.
So their noses are up in the air, and I stepped on every damn one of them.
Because they, you know why? Because they paid to be. You know what I mean? Like they don't understand
it. A grown woman. I said, DJ, and they go, he can't act. I go, that's not your job.
Right.
I want to give him more lines. He's maturing. I want a nice scene with him and Dan.
Yeah.
And maybe he steals a stop sign, and I look up, and she's going, la, 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 la. I go, what the fuck is your problem?
Right.
I can't condone stealing. I go, have you ever read the Bible for this show? They accidentally got a washing machine delivered and kept it. That's stealing. It's also called the blue collar world. Fucking lucky.
Yeah.
So I personally wrote the scene.
Nice.
And I never say he stole the stop sign. He said, where'd you get it? In the junkyard. And I had John Goodman do the old joke. Well, I used to go there and get it and take my friend. He go, why? Because of those dogs. All you have to do is be faster than your friend.
Yeah.
And they had a nice little scene that continued.
I remember that. I remember that episode. Those were good shows, man. They did have depth back then, and they don't really have that. Like, you can't, I mean, there's Big Bang and there's all those other shows.
If you watch the first 2 or 3 seasons of Arliss, the tone changes when I get there. It gets more. Let me just say, anytime I wrote an episode, HBO was concerned.
Holy shit. That's fucking wild.
And it's cable.
Yeah.
Who brings it down from cable?
Well, now they've got Game of Thrones and Bill Maher and all that other shit on there too. So it's they seem to be doing all right. They have you to thank. You guys pioneer. That's the coolest thing about HBO, man, is that I feel like they're still kind of doing whatever they want.
I hate to interrupt you, but Chris Albrecht, who became president and then CEO, either managed or 10 bar at the Improv in New York. That's how he knew all the comics. That's why they were getting specials.
Wow, I didn't know that at all.
Oh yeah.
What happened to him? Is he still around?
He left HBO to run Stars. Then went to maybe his own company. Whatever he's doing, he's always successful. He's very good at what he does.
It's amazing to me how all of everybody from comedians, producers, all that other shit, you're all kind of linked together from that era. You know what I mean? Like bartender,
they're starting to pass away now.
Well, I don't want to bring that up.
I will tell you this. Like Carl called me one night. He said, "I'm going on at the Ventura Club. Want to drive? I'll give you some of my time." So we get there, and about 5-6 guys have been on.
Mm-hmm.
The audience has got a smile on their face. I go on, in about 34 minutes, they start to stand up, and they go, "Oh, I forgot my friend's here. You have to sit down. Who'll do this?" And then he goes up. And I have a kid I mentored named Daniel. He was about 22 at the time. And when I get done, he's crying. I go, "You okay?" He goes, "I've only seen you do 5 minutes. What the hell was that?" I go, "Watch Carl like we did."
Yeah.
And Carl brought the roof down. The manager runs over and goes, "Where have you guys been?" I go, "The owner doesn't find us funny. Have a nice night."
Wow. That's fucking crazy.
But the tone changed. 5 or 6 comics, nobody brought them to a climax in any way.
Right.
I can go on stage now in a club and somebody will go, "Well, that was different." Of course it was. I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a drastic change between you guys.
When you have to follow Steve Martin, Billy Crystal, Rodney,
right?
It's not a good feeling till you learn the tricks. And the tricks are to be dismissive.
Who was the hardest comic you followed?
Pryor, but I learned how to diffuse it. Okay. I would go on stage and go, "Richard, you still in the room?" He'd go, "Yeah." I go, "Bring the car around." You learn to diffuse it.
Yeah.
One night there was 5 of them. I listed all 5 and I kept making them applaud.
Nice.
And finally I went, "To see one of them, you'd have to pay big money. You just saw 5, so stop fucking staring at me."
You said Steve Martin? Was Steve Martin in there? He didn't do clubs very often, did he?
Oh, I think that's how he started. I think he was, I want to say, either partners with Martin Mull, maybe, or somewhere in there was Gary Mulder. They were doing comedy before comedy. They were writers with the Smothers Brothers, but they find these little, I guess, coffee houses.
Yes, yeah. But they weren't at the Comedy Store, were they?
Billy Crystal. Steve was once or twice, I believe. Billy Crystal, Rodney, Robin, Pryor. Carson used to come in a lot.
And there was a Sam. You said there was a Sam Kinison and Robin story too, by the way, that you wanted me to remind you about.
Oh, that was the house.
The house thing, but you said that something about Robin stopped doing characters, and you knew why.
Oh, that has nothing to do with Sam.
Oh, okay.
Before Robin was Mark.
Yeah.
And I believe he got Mark because John Biner got sick.
Really?
I think that's how it goes. But before he got Mark, George Slaughter, who had produced Laugh-In, which is long before Saturday Night Live, was very successful in the 60s, tried to bring it back. Yeah. Argus was on it, or a writer, a lot of the comics. And Robin. And he used to do characters. When the show ended, he didn't realize the contract said the characters are owned by George Slaughter.
No fucking way.
Or the network that aired it. So he stopped doing the Russian and the Shakespearean guy, and he bastardized some of it, and he became even more free.
Wow. I never knew that.
Probably nobody does.
That's fucking crazy.
I know shit.
I know you do. You know way more than I'm even asking, and I'm trying to. So wait, I'm getting to this list, man, because you said you got a story about Dick Shawn too.
Okay. I am not funny. Never was funny as a kid. I'm the guy in the corner with the soldiers. You can walk away for a couple of hours.
Right.
but I'm 9, and there is a Lakewood, New Jersey was a resort.
Yeah.
And we go there, and it's like a Vegas showroom. And I'm sitting there with my parents, my little suit.
Mm-hmm.
And Big Sean's on stage, and I'm fascinated by him because in those days it was mother-in-law jokes.
Mm-hmm.
He's very physical.
Right.
And all of a sudden he says the word shit, and we lock eyes. And he goes, "How old are you?" I go, 9. And he looks at my parents, who are quite young themselves.
Right.
But bottom line, he complimented them for being so open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
And it took the uncomfortableness out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to, I think I'm in my 40s,
right,
or late 30s, and I'm on stage in Denver, and it's now stadium seating.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very free with my language. Fucking shit are my favorite words.
Right.
But I don't tell dirty jokes, so I can't be clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing that, and I look up and I lock horns with 2 kids that are younger than 9.
Right.
And I go, "Are you understanding anything I'm saying?" And the one kid starts to laugh. I go, "So you are." And the audience goes dead silent. And I go, "Where are your parents?" And I talk to them for a minute, and I go, "You know what? I want to compliment you for being so open-minded. It's just words."
Mm-hmm.
And as I turn back, and I say to the 7-year-old, "I'm in town a week. You know any chicks?"
Jesus Christ.
I opened for Dave Coulier.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him in years, so the guy who did it knew I was in town and said, "Just come do it for a show. He'll go crazy."
Mm-hmm.
So I walk in, he goes, "You don't still do what you used to do." I'm going to open up with a cunt joke. Come on. So he's a little nervous. Everything's fine. At the end of the show, I have this joke where I say dick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said penis. And, it's Dave Coulier, so there's some kids in the front row.
Right.
And I look right at one of them, and I go, "Boy, did I clean the shit out of that kid." Place went nuts. One night there was nuns in the front, and they said, "You can't say the F word." And it truly slipped out because I've been saying it since I'm 5. And I said to the nuns, "Oh, I'm sorry." Then I made the joke, "But you got to forgive me, right?"
Right.
And they laughed. And when it was over, they went over to the owner and said, "This guy's so funny." And he said to me, "I was going to kill you. I thought they would get up and walk out." I go, "There's a way to get to everybody." There's a great HBO special I think is going to be released soon, where Buddy Hackett's on stage in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman is offended by his language. And I wish I could do this better, but he basically starts talking to her. And she's answering and answering and answering. And eventually he goes, "So you don't like me? And you really want to tell me to fuck off?" She goes, "Yeah, fuck off." He goes, "Don't you curse at me, lady." But he brilliantly, and it might not even been fuck off. It might be, shit, whatever it was.
Right.
Brilliantly set her up to be an ass. Rather than say, "Don't heckle me" or "be mean."
Right.
He made it a few-minute bit where he turns her and she doesn't realize it.
That's the best fucking thing to see. It's like magic.
This is why you have to watch some of these guys, young comics. Comedy is not, I used to say it's done with mirrors like magicians, but comedy, once you learn the tricks.
Yeah.
Like Louis Anderson, when I first played Vegas, he said, "Your name's 40 foot tall on the strip. And don't let them see you sweat. Have a good night." And as long as you look like you're confident, the lions will calm down.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to let them know you're going to be able to fly the plane. And then it doesn't matter whether you're heading toward a mountain. You're like, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, you want them to go for the ride.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I used to close my show after about an hour or whatever it was. And I remembered everybody I talked to, their name and what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd run them into one story and they go, "He's drunk and high. How does he do that?"
Yeah.
But on stage, I'm totally in control.
Of course. That's my favorite thing is when people come off stage and be like, "Oh, you kind of almost lost." And it's like, no, you're in control all the time when you're up there. If you think I did and I still brought it home, that just makes me feel great. I was
on stage. I opened for Robert Wall.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of my act, the guy says he works for Discover Card. And I go, "They're getting ready to close my card. Give me 3 more months." I go, "What's your name?" He tells me, "What's your last name?" I go, "Seriously, get your pen out." And I spent about 10 minutes going over what he needed.
Right.
Gave him my card, and I go, "You're near the computer, make it happen." And he did. And I went back to my show.
Oh, shit. There's my friend opened for Dave Coulier, and she was young comic at the time or whatever. But she calls me and she's like, "You're never gonna believe this. She's like, I slept with fucking Uncle Joey last night. I slept with Dave Coulier." So I'm like, "Are you gonna?" You said you got one more show with him. She goes, "Yeah, I got one more show with him." I said, "You gonna sleep with him again?" She goes, "Yeah, I'm probably gonna sleep with him again." I go, "All right, do me a favor. Go right before you're about to come. Just go cut it out." And she was like, "You motherfucker! I will not be able to not think of that." It's like
he was Mike Binder's roommate. Mitchell and I lived in the same building. So did David Copperfield.
right.
And Coulier used to fly over the apartment building. He's been flying since he's young.
Wow.
In fact, he flew into Vegas when he did the show.
Holy shit. See, I didn't know that. See, how did Bob Saget wound up? Was he really under contract that he could not do stand up while he was on Full House?
Have you seen his stand up?
I have, yeah.
I believe that story.
Okay.
By the way, I had a big fight with him at Mitzi's memorial.
Why? What happened?
Well, I didn't feel it's the way it should have been done.
Okay.
But I'm sitting with Marty Kollner, a very big director of comedy and videos. You know, he did ours back when we were the Outlaws. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, Whitney Cummings blocks him and says, "Oh, I love you. The way you directed my special." And I'm going, "No, I see how this chick gets ahead." Anyway, like I'm not there. And then she says, "I better go backstage. I'm sure they're going to want me to speak."
Right.
Yeah, nobody wanted her. But I wasn't going to drink. And I had a drink because I wasn't, I didn't know the cancer was messing with my brain. So I'd kill anybody.
Right.
I said, I better go backstage before I hurt somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had another thing going with another comedian that I won't talk about, but someone who meant well said, "Why don't you fix it?" And I said, "Why don't you go fuck yourself?" And, the manager wasn't nice to Argus, and I got involved in that. But long story short, I'm 6 cocktails in, and I'm sitting in the chair, and I'm going to, Blake Clark's on next, and then me. And they've played with the lineup. And here comes Saget, and he's tall, and I'm in a chair, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm going on next." "Can you take me, you fuck?" You went, "What?" I go, "Blake, unless you served your country, Blake is going on next."
Right.
"Alan, what are you being like this for?" "What are you, Pryor? Shut the fuck up."
Right.
"Well, Alan, don't make me get out of this fucking chair." And Blake starts rocking on the wall because Blake will not let me get hurt.
Right.
And I bring out Blake, and he said, "Well, then bring out Saget." And I brought out Louis. But don't bring your, I was there when you started. Don't come play celebrity with me.
Yeah. I feel like that shit doesn't work at the store.
Well, if it was Pryor, someone that is a comedy legend, not a guy who did well on TV shows.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy, man.
Couple cocktails, little cancer, you're crazy.
So well, that's what I was going to ask you next too, man, because how are you doing? Are you doing all right?
I'll know for sure in April. The kidney's supposed to be okay, even though it hurts a little bit lately.
Right.
And my bladder is aggressive, but not there when they looked 3 months ago.
Wow. Okay.
So technically, I'm cancer free.
That's good, man. I'm glad. I'm really happy to hear that.
Third time.
Third fucking time, man.
I'm going piece by piece.
Yeah. They're not going to take that fucking hat, though. That's for shit sure.
Let me tell you what I do to these guys.
Uh-huh.
It's all catheters. So I had a little sticker made, with the X, know this.
Yeah.
That sign.
Mm-hmm.
And I attached it to my penis. I'm already out. Still doing jokes.
Well, it doesn't matter. That's fantastic. And you and Carl wound up going through it at the same time, though, this time, right?
Yeah.
Carl LaBove.
It's kind of nice, but, if anything can be nice about cancer.
I was just about to say, I guess
Carl he's really got it.
He's really got it. And he's not doing too good? Not that if you don't want to talk, we don't have to talk about it.
He's doing good for where he's at.
Right. All right. That's good. Yeah, I was fucking stunned to hear that, man. And it was so weird too, because I had written that thing that you'd shared or whatever, like without even realizing, because it just came up, man. It was just like I just thought about it. The photo popped up, good memories, and then somebody was like, "Alan and Carl are like in a bad way." So that was
all depends on how you look at things.
That's Yeah, that's true, man. Well, I don't
I
want to take
will
up.
tell you, you don't want to meet a girl and open with it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Well, you know what? If anybody could do it, you could.
I have, tell you the truth.
Did it work?
The first cancer was thyroid, and I'm in bed with this girl, and my airway gets blocked.
Yeah.
I don't know anything's wrong yet, but I turn blue on the floor.
Jesus.
I'm able to catch my breath, and I stand up. She goes, "Should I call an ambulance?" I go, "Where was I?"
Let me ask you this: what's the cutoff age for a Make-A-Wish? Can you still get it? Because
No, I don't know, but we've been taking, like Carl, one of his friends took us all to the casino on the Strip for the weekend and paid for everything, and that tired him out. Then he went to surprise a friend and drove to LA with another friend of ours, and I drove him back the next day, but the traffic took 7 hours, and that tired him out.
Damn.
But we're going to try to go fishing this weekend.
Good.
Brad Garrett is taller than anybody knows.
Yeah.
Just a mensch, a true great man. Wow. He has helped immensely, got him a chair he's comfortable in that lifts him and stuff. And he couldn't have been nicer. God bless that guy.
That's good to hear, man. That's really good to hear. I was hoping he was a nice guy. He's one of those guys that you like, and then you're like, you know.
Here's a quick Brad Garrett story.
Yeah, please.
Sinatra's going to roast Tommy Lasorda in Tahoe.
Mm-hmm.
Angie Dickinson, Steve Garvey, a bunch of sports guys, Pat Cooper. I don't know who else. Jilly, you know who that was, Sinatra's friend?
Yeah.
So I say to Pat Cooper before the show, what do you think of this joke? Tommy Lasorda has a spaghetti sauce out now and a diet drink. Well, Sinatra has Sinatra sauce out now. And I hear he has a diet drink coming where you disappear altogether. And Pat Cooper goes, "Do you know Frank?" I go, "No." He goes, "He'll kill you. Frank's drunk. He can't get through his speech. They get him off stage after about 15 uncomfortable minutes, and his head is in soup. But they start the show. Mm-hmm. And Brad Garrett comes out. Everybody's in a tux, but Jilly's in a suit. In the middle of talking, he turns to Jilly and goes, "Nice suit, Jilly. Almost covers the gun." I love that guy.
That's fucking hilarious. Did you do you talk? Have you do you are you friendly with Pat Cooper? Because I heard he's with some woman now who's bleeding him dry, like financially.
Bleed.
I don't know. That's just what I heard, dude. I was supposed to go out there for.
But at his age, he should be happy about it.
Yeah, that's what I.
I don't think he gets along with his family or kids. What's he?
He doesn't.
He doesn't, man. What's he gonna do with it?
Exactly, and that's what I fucking said too. We were supposed to go out there. I was supposed to do his. I think they were having some kind of 90th birthday bash or whatever the hell it was, right out in Vegas, and then they canceled it for whatever. Because I bet I imagine
he's 90.
Yeah, and I also imagine he was like, "What the fuck do I want to see?" Because he's with, but they blamed it on the woman that he was with, and they were like, "Oh, he's controlling his money," and I was like, "He's 90 and she's smoking fucking hot and giving him attention. What does he give a shit?"
I have a funny feeling if he's still the personality of Pat Cooper, she deserves the money.
Oh, fuck. That's great, man. Well, listen, we've been on for an hour and 20, and I've kept you 20 minutes longer than I said I was going to. So
I didn't want to reveal this, but I peed already.
Oh, you did? Oh, then we'll keep going.
Yeah.
That's fine by me. No, seriously, though.
Fun. I wish you luck with your career. Is your producer back yet?
Tom, where are you, Tom? Are you there? Come out and say hi. No, he's got to be here. Tom is here.
There
I've been
he
here
is.
the whole time.
He's been here the whole time.
Tom, it was nice meeting you. I appreciate how quick you are with your answers from the computer to the headset.
I didn't know we were taking an Andy Kaufman turn. I didn't see it happening. I apologize for that.
Well, I fly a plane that just doesn't go straight anyway.
That was a fucking blast, dude. You got a million. I feel like I haven't even tapped the well of all of Allan Stephan's stories. So I'm gonna have to have you back on.
I didn't even get the annoying Barbara Streisand.
Oh, well, we fit her in.
Great story. Huh?
Said fit her in. Well, do you want to do a round two? Yeah, we're still on.
We go to sell the Roseanne talk show at a big convention, and she's with Brolin. It was her boyfriend then, and we're going to take a private jet. Can they fly with us? Duh, of course.
Yeah.
She can't handle turbulence, neither can I. And they know Roseanne, they don't know me. And he's a very nice man. And to calm Barbara down, he stands up, braces himself, and says why it's no need to be nervous and what turbulence is. And he sits down, and I look at Roseanne and I go, it's dialogue from Winds of Pensacola. Fuck, he doesn't know anything. But they ignore me.
Oh, God.
Now we go, did we go to dinner first? Might have gone to dinner where Emerald cooked for us, and I didn't know what it was. And I say to James Brolin, what is this? He goes, pussy. And Streisand goes, not everything is pussy. And let me tell you, lovely, charming woman. So we go into the French Quarter with Roseanne and her, and we get to the gay section, and she goes, can't go in there. Roseanne goes, me either. I go, let me explain something about you two. The gay guys and the drag queens are going to go, look at these two bitches thinking they're Barbara and Roseanne. Fucking walking.
Right.
And we had a great time. The sheriff down there wanted to know if we wanted to. Roseanne, we were all in the limo. Roseanne says, I have gas. And earlier, Barbara had said, we were going to go shoot machine guns and shoot alligators with the sheriff. It is the South.
Yeah.
And she goes, I don't like loud noises. So we're in the limo, and Roseanne goes, I'm gassy. And I go, hold it. Barbara doesn't like loud noises. The first time I meet her, we had Brolin's on the show, and I see she's up in the booth with executives. And I open the door, and I go, Babs, what's wrong with my lights? And she says, these two. And the lighting guy goes, what? I go, when you're Barbara Streisand, I'll listen to you. And I saw her notes in his script and adjusted them. But they come down one morning for breakfast, and I go, where's Babs? He goes, she broken down. I go, you know what? Fuck your girl. And I go to the house when he goes, don't do it, Alan. And she answers the phone. I go, Babs, I need coffee, baby. Put a Band-Aid on for now. And she just giggles and comes downstairs. So about a year or so goes by, and a friend of mine writes Broadway musicals, and he was looking to raise money, and it's a big thing for money people at someone's home, seats like 100. And I'm playing the lead just for this, because I sound like the guy it's about. And there's a chorus of great singers behind me. But Barbara walks in the door, and I go, hi, Babs. She goes, what are you doing here? I go, I'm here to raise money. Oh, you're putting money in? I go, no, I'm the star of this show. And she goes, you know what? I had it with you. You just say shit. So she sits down, the show starts. I open my mouth. Literally, she falls onto the floor. I finished that song. She can't look me in the face. She's crying.
Wow.
So afterwards, and my wife filmed it somewhere, I have it. Afterwards, I go over to her and I push my way into the group and I go, listen, Barbara, I have to do it with you in the booth. She goes, what? I go, I'm sure you're going to ask me to do a duet with you, right? Well, do you mind? I go, I hear some people do it and then you do it. I want to be in the same booth with you. And Brolin goes, it's not a bad idea. She goes, he's out of his mind. And then I told my mother I sang for Barbara Streisand, and she said, why would you do that to that woman?
Oh, man. That's fucking great, dude. Well, you got to come on again because I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Roseanne. Remind me, and I'll tell you about Clinton and Roseanne next time.
Clinton and Roseanne next? You're leaving me with that kind of a fucking cliffhanger? All right.
I'm bringing you to the President of the United States. That's how I roll. Can't you see the hat?
I can. I'm bringing you back on for a round 2, dude. We got to do it. This is a blast.
You got it. Thank you guys
so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm going to put on my glasses and figure out how to lose you.
There it is. Tom, take care, man. That was a great show, dude. He was phenomenal.
Great job, man. That was a really good show.
Dystopia tonight.